Hello. Awesome. How about if you could pick shifts twice as fast? Would that be exciting? What if you had a person whose main job was to keep the time moving during a meeting, to keep things faster, to avoid distractions, to cut people off that are on tangents, and they had permission to do that so they weren't being rude, and you could go a lot faster because of that? What if you were more motivated, excited? What if your average order went up? I tell you the truth when I say to you that this plus growing your team and being a part of something and more is all created by the meetings that take place in your division for your Fair and Show team. So meetings are for the team, and to have them go smoothly, everyone is kind of working together on that. So if you're not a coordinator, then you can simply help your coordinator by learning these things that I'm about to cover. And of course, if you're a coordinator, you can just literally revolutionize your division if you're actually implementing all these things that I'm about to go through. I remember when I first moved to Arizona, we were doing 25 events a year in our division, the Rising Sun division, and about 240,000 in sales. I think we were top 5 in the company back then for that. And the coordinator was pretty much just working all of the events. They were doing all the events. There was only, a couple other people on the team. Luke Mills, actually. He's doing shows before I even started doing shows. He was here. When I moved here, you were at what, like 50K, 60K? You were already at 100. He was like my right-hand guy when I moved down. And there was a couple other reps that were on a lesser level than Luke, but they were just kind of like scraping by, not necessarily scraping by, but they were at the level where they're not going out and doing 150, 200K a year. So just the coordinator and those people. Now we have reps, not me as a coordinator, but reps on our team. Last year, Matt Foss did actually $240,000 as a student on our team, working our program, picking shifts with everyone in the ranks as a student. So if you think about that opportunity that you can create, doing over 200 events, 1.1 million at the booth, and 800 of that being from your team, not from you as a coordinator, and as you're a part of a team, if you can be, what chunk of that 800 could you take home at Half Baby, right? When you have 10, 15 people on your team, and profiting over $500,000 once you get to 1.2, 1.3 million at the booth, that's pretty powerful. And so that's kind of all created from our meetings. When we first started, I remember our meetings took all we did was show up and pick shifts. It's like, hey, all right, guys, these are the shows we've got. Let's pick some shifts. I don't even know if we did recognition. I thought I was doing a great job running the meetings when I first moved down there. I had been a DM and all that stuff, and it was kind of funny looking back at it. But what it's developed into now, it's more like a division meeting, but not a division meeting, but for Cutco event reps. And different, essential, powerful meetings are really the glue that holds together $1 million show team, the mechanism to develop it, organization, innovation, growth, commitment, connection, democracy. It's where a mastermind is formed. All of those things. Most of the reasons to not have meetings, generally, from what I've seen, is when having conversations with people. And I'm not just saying having meetings like how I used to when I first moved down. So when I say having meetings or not having meetings, it's are you just doing the bare minimum, or are you actually doing these 15 different things in your meeting that I'm going to talk about? So to not do those things, for me, it seems like more of a scarcity mindset versus a plentiful mindset, maybe loss of control by the coordinator. Someone's being kind of like a dictator over a group of people. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's lack of motivation. They don't think there's time. Or maybe it's indifference to the growth of the team with regards to development. It could be thinking distance is an issue instead of innovating and creating 3 groups of people in 3 different areas of division that all meet together and fuse visually with the other 2 people, other 2 groups of people, and then have a meeting that way. Just excuses perhaps. And if you know what Fuse is, it's like advanced Skype kind of. I'm actually curious. Who knows what Fuse is? Okay, like 40% of the room. Cool. So meetings are a place for recognition, for growth of skill set, a time for reiteration of your core values as a team and the policies that keep everyone on track for success. And we would go off track without our meetings. We would go back down quite a bit. It's a time for discussion to progress you and your national and the team in the nation, really, the events program. A lot of innovation happens during meetings, and that develops to impact everyone across the country. A place for sharing goals, CPO generating tips for inspiration, and a place for vision. And actual benefits for the coordinator, and then benefits for the rep. 1, coordinators. It's a place to give back, make a difference. It's a way to build your program in a solid way, solidify your position as coordinator to earn your pay that you're getting, if you're getting pay. A place to draw a discussion out and guide new ideas and growth into fruition for you and your team. It's a time that forces you to reconnect to your vision for the program. And think about that, and then share it with others and speak it into a reality. It's a way to create policy in an environment where the team can buy in their own choice, and a way to create a system that alleviates drama, issues, headaches. If you're getting any of those 3 things, and you're a coordinator or you're in a team that has those things, doing these meetings will alleviate that. All that comes out through discussion, and everyone decides as a group, and then we move forward, and we're done with that stuff. We don't have drama outside of our meetings. And if it's drama in the meetings, it's during discussion time, and it's a discussion, and we come to an agreement, and then there's no drama, and we're done. The benefits of the rep: learning, growth, a place to be a part of something, to resupply, stay in the loop in what's happening, the only place to pick shifts and be able to work events. That's how we get everyone bought in. To play a part of guiding the direction of the team and policies, a way to be recognized and sometimes inspired. So I need 10 volunteers, 5 on this side and 5 on this side. Just run up here until there's 5 people. I'm gonna have this, you guys just wanna go along each row and just pass these out, equal number, so that everyone can get it quicker, and that would be awesome. So what you're about to get are the different components of a meeting. So you're going to be able to take little notes on each of these different components. I'm actually going to go pretty quickly through this stuff and just open it up for Q&A. So hopefully, if there should be plenty of time for that at the end here, because I'm just going to kind of fly through. Now, there's a reason for all of these that I put on there, and through the process, if you don't know what that reason is, there's probably a really good question for you to be asking in Q&A, rather than just disregarding it and not doing it. Ask me why is it important, and challenge it. I'm open to change as well. In the meantime, please take some notes on each of these sections. I'm going to start with the MC. How many of you guys have an MC at your meetings right now? Oh, top 5 division. Nice. Awesome. I don't know what you guys did last year, but that's cool. 720, top 5 probably. Okay, so here's the reason why this is important to have an MC. It allows for a lot of powerful components to happen. Here's a few. When people arrive, the MC starts to create an order for picking of shifts and starts working on that right away. So whatever your picking of shifts is, I highly recommend having a shift picking so people can pick their own events in their own schedules rather than just dictating what people work. You alleviate yourself a lot of drama and issues and why is it this way? Why is it that way? If there was just a system you could create that was fair for everyone and it just automatically happened, and then when people pick shifts, their order is already determined based on their performance, where they've been at in the business, and whatever things that come into place, leadership or so on, it makes it a lot easier. But anyways, if you don't have that, then they just move on to the next thing here. But creating the order of picking shifts so that when we get to picking shifts and events, it just happens right away. We don't have to sit there and figure out who's going to pick first, who's going to go second and third and fourth and so on. So they're doing that. They run a mixer at the beginning of the meeting, just saying, hey, we'll go around each person for 1 minute, and what's your favorite Halloween costume? Or, what's your favorite thing about the fall? Or what are you most excited about for summer? Or where are you traveling this year that you really like? Or what did you do over the holidays that was really cool or fun? And then every person kind of goes around for 1 minute. It's just a way to, we'll talk about why that is later, why we do that. Builds up the coordinator after that. So you can't recognize yourself as a coordinator, but it is pretty important that your team believe in you as a leader, knows the work you put in, the time, the effort, and the energy you put into building the team. So this is a way for the MC to actually talk about you and go to town on how awesome you are, right? And it's not for your own ego. It's so that people on the team look at you and understand and respect you. And then also, because of that and your sales results or whatever else they recognize about you, they also listen to you more, want to field train more, want to get more information from you and communicate, connect with you more. And so it's kind of important for them to be able to get the recognition. The coordinator also deserves it. And then they cover the basic rules for 1 minute of whatever they're going to be for you, the core rules of your team that you need to abide by and everyone needs to be doing that makes you guys successful. It takes like just a couple of minutes. And then they're also keeping the meeting moving along. They have permission, and I give them permission at the beginning to interrupt anyone at any time. And then covers a review of some things the team needs to hear from a fellow peer. So sometimes things are more effective if you hear them from someone who's not your coordinator, if you're a rep. So you can strategically have the MC cover those things, and we'll talk about what some of those things are later. And then facilitates picking of shifts. They're basically running that. A few things, this is just an by the way here. Oh, by the way, a few things to keep in mind as a coordinator throughout the meeting. Periodically test people on the approaches they walk in. You can just take them to an office while the MC is getting the shift thing figured out, the checkbook, or whatever is going on at the beginning of a meeting. People arrive, just take them to an office and have them do it live real quick. It only takes 2-3 minutes to know if they've got it down. And then have that tough conversation with them, or great, you got it. Another thing is recognizing the MC. This is an opportunity for you to introduce who the MC is for the day and really recognize them for how awesome they are and what they contribute to the team and what they do and all the reasons you're grateful for how awesome they are and the person that they are on the team. So like, for example, Matt Foss, you in here? Yeah, so Foss emceeing today. Just want to say thank you so much for all you do as assistant coordinator. You are like, if I didn't have you, man, I don't know how I'd get anything done. I don't know what I did before I had an assistant coordinator, but I remember when you stepped into the position, communication became easier. When I'd send you something, I just didn't have to worry about it or think like, oh, I'm going to email him again in 3 days to make sure it gets done. It just gets done. Thank you for also leading the way. Students look up to you on our team. Everyone looks up to you because you have the approaches down word for word. When you first moved here, you were just like a robot and you had it down like crazy. I was like, wow, it's a robot here. And then you go to the show and you sell, and then it starts to became internalized, and you get your personality and your confidence, and you get more and more results. So just thanks for being the leader you are on our team, for what you do, for always being there when I need you, and just being awesome, man. Thank you so much. So he's going to MC the meeting today. If he's mean, don't worry, he's not being mean. He's just trying to keep the meeting moving along. So he has permission to interrupt you guys. We're just going to get through this as quickly as possible tonight. So let's give him one clap. 1, 2, 3. And it kind of sets him up for being the MC role, right? Next thing is have 5-minute power conversations with people here and there during the meeting. Think about who needs to have a conversation with you. It's not necessarily their job to seek it out. Who's not doing so well or who's doing great? Because it's both, right? 1-minute manager conversations. Is it always a reprimand? Is it always, hey, you could be doing better? Or is it some of that when they need it, but also, hey, you're doing phenomenal. I just want to recognize you for the great performance. So it's both. Instead of always reprimanding someone or always, trying to get them better, it's got to be the recognition as well, and also the 1 minute recognizing. You can have it connected to a TV or computer, your laptop, so anyone that's out of town on Fuse, have them be required to be visible as part of the meeting. Skyping in, they have to be visible, because otherwise, if they were there, they'd have to be visible, right? They're lucky they can even Fuse or Skype in the first place. I wouldn't even have it in my division if I could go back in time. And if there's multiple reps, like meeting in one area, there's no reason that like 4 reps in one city should all be fusing independently. They should all be meeting and then fusing as one group into the main hub where the coordinator's at with other people. And if there's another 3 people over here, they should be fusing together and then there should only be 2 screens on the screen, nice and big, and then everyone should be visible on both, and you should have audio that you can hear everybody. So that's pretty important. Your job as a coordinator during discussions and during meetings is to keep the mindset of the group in the right place. Bring the energy, encourage positive ideas, discourage whining or complaining and drama, handle issues that are only issues with a couple reps, handle that outside the meeting, keep those discussions that are negative out of the meeting, and try to steer everyone into a solution-based mindset. If something does come up, what can we do to fix it? How can we move on and never have that happen again? Let's talk about how we can generate more CPO through this, and always bringing those questions back to light when you're having those discussions and turning it into a solution-based discussion. And then try to smile as well and be a leader and continue to grow. So I'm going to dive into the meats and potatoes of a meeting now, come back to some tips for pre-meetings and post-meetings, help things run smoothly. We'll probably actually skip that. So components or parts of a meeting. Pre-meeting. This helps the meeting to run smoother, faster, more organized. You want to send an email out to everyone for the meeting. Since you're already probably doing that, you might as well do some things in that email to make things run smoother. So tell them to look over the schedule, email discussions ahead of time so they can have their thoughts organized. I'd put the results from last year's events in the email as well, so they already know what some of the events they're trying to look at for picking. The MC should be at least 20 minutes early, accomplishing checkbook stuff for people that are writing checks. Also have shift picking order, like I said before. Have people write down on a sheet for themselves the dates and the weekends that they can work. Have people get organized with their schedules, like, what are the dates and weekends that you can work. Note people who are late. Greet people at the door. Monitor usage of an out-of-towns lead database, not wanted leads database, that sort of thing. For the opening and mixer, we kind of already talked about that, so we'll move on to vision. So the vision is something that people always used to talk about, never really understood what it was. And I don't know, like it just seems like, we were just talking with Michael earlier before this talk, and how it just seems like it takes a while to get going on vision. But I mean, like what I see for you guys in this room, I mean, I really see a lot of reps that are like 100K a year to 200K a year. You're moving to the 200K level a year, 150, 200, those scripts, those talks that we had in the last few days. Some of you guys are going to take that and you're going to implement that and you're going to go to the next level. Other you guys might not. It might take you longer. You might, like Josh said, wait 4 years and then realize, wow, that does really work. And for whatever reason, go then. Or you could just trust the things that were delivered. When Josh put this agenda together, we talked about it, finding all the best people in the business for each topic and putting them on each of those topics. He did quite an analysis on the people that he was putting into each category for the message. So whatever that they delivered, that speech by Curtis, the speech by Matt, all that stuff, when is it in your schedule right now for you to memorize that? I see a lot of you guys going home and spending hours memorizing, hours and hours just memorizing that stuff. And your average order is going higher and higher. When I first mentored Foss earlier this year, his goal was 150. And after we worked on just a couple things in the spring, it was quite apparent we could do a lot more than that. And a lot of those things you were delivered here already. So the question is, are you going to implement it? But I see a lot of you guys doing more than you could ever even imagine that you were going to do this year. So think a little bit bigger and be more confident if you have the time, if you make the time, everyone has time to commit to memorizing those things. But I see a lot of the divisions out here that are doing like 150, 300, 400,000 in sales at the booth, being able to get to 6, 7, 800,000 in sales. Instead of thinking, oh, I don't have those types of events, or oh, I don't have this, or I don't have that, thinking, how can I? How can I? How can I? And I see the military program, the Costco program, the at home program, the service call elite program, There's like a couple other programs, all these things we didn't have 5, 6, 7 years ago. I see those things creating a synergy in our business that creates a huge pie of marketing for Cutco that's never existed. And if you know how that pie works, it's how marketing works. It's how Vector's always been good at recruiting. You get a letter in the mail. You see a flyer on your door, on your car door. You see it in the newspaper. Your friend's doing it. And you're like, what is this thing? And you look at it and like, you go in like, what is this? And then if you're me, you don't even show up to the interview. And then you get called and then you're like, this is a scam. And then you go in and then you're like, all right, they cut stuff. That looked really cool. All right, let me check this out. Right? Hey, I saw you guys at Costco. Yeah, and my friend, her daughter's doing it. They call us, try to do some appointment with us or whatever. Anyways, we've seen you guys everywhere. So what do you guys got? Have you guys had that start to happen? Yeah. It's only the beginning. It's only been started a few years ago. Can you imagine what's going to happen in 10 years from now when these programs are bigger in our events program? Because you know what? With events, we were doing what? 5 million. Now we're doing 25. We're at every major event. We're going to be if you coordinators get it in gear and you guys help your coordinators get into gear, get more events. You're going to be everywhere. Military bases too, and Costco and all those things, and all our events combined. Cutco is just going to be known, and it's not a matter of, we haven't penetrated the market at all. People don't know Cutco at all compared to what they're going to know Cutco in 10 years from now. And you're just going to be, we talk about sitting there taking orders at the booth. It's going to be a little bit more like that. I don't know if it'll ever be like that, but you're just going to have a lot more people coming to your booth and stopping than you have now, like 10 times probably. Like it's going to be crazy because once it hits critical mass, and it does when you have that pie set up the way that it is, if you ever study marketing, it's going to be really interesting. And are you going to be there to take advantage of that? And what part of the $1 billion are you going to be a part of when our organization reaches that level? So that's kind of like what vision is. So how do you do that with your team? So I see this. I see this. Some of you guys, I believe, will this. I believe this. It's really just sharing from your heart almost. It's not necessarily, you can type it out, and I have with a lot of my visions before as well, but it's got to kind of come from the heart and just imagine this, imagine that. That's what vision is all about. So you can break it into each category for your team. Imagine you representatives that are between 20 and 100K right now. I see you guys doing this. Representatives that are at 100K to 300K, I see this happening for you. And those either on the team that have been around, this, buying your first homes, paying off your house, savings goals, this, CPO, your biggest campaign ever, like whatever. And just going and thinking about, write it down before the meeting, spend 20 minutes, an hour, writing your vision out and share that every meeting. That only really happens at the meetings. A lot of these things only happen at the meetings. Going to the next section, learning and drilling for skill. Learning section, you guys kind of know the drill with this, but what we do is we do it a little different. We break into different groups of 3 or 4 people, and then we just have a Q&A with our top representatives that are leaders or honor members or whatever you call it in your division, with 2 or 3 other people. And it's just so cool. If you haven't tried this before and you just walk around, as the coordinator, you can just hear like the connection and the great questions and the great interactions that's happening. And that's really powerful. You can just do that for 15, 20 minutes. And then drilling for skill, role playing, that kind of thing. Putting people on the hot seat. Next, new stuff and updates. These are like non-discussion things that should be shared. Basically, there are announcements, quick things, company news, stuff that people should be in the loop on, but it's not something we're going to sit there and talk about and vote on as a group for 20, 30 minutes. Then when we do leader updates, and I'm going quick on some of these things here, but if you have any questions, we'll do it at the end. Go around and describe the effort that each leader has put into the team since the last meeting. So like if someone's a research manager or visualization manager, or whatever their role is on the team, that's their opportunity to share what they've done since the last meeting. And then discussions, I always say for those that are new, discussions are to figure out how to make the show team better overall in every aspect. Sometimes some things discussed may seem small or tedious, but small changes that will last many years can make a big difference over a long period of time. Some of the ideas generated from these discussions here on the show team and in our division have revolutionized how we and others run a show program nationwide. If you're on Skype, try to participate even more than normal. And then we go into whatever the topic or two is. And if you don't have a topic, then it's the following. It's a brainstorming session. What are the ways that we can improve our show program? Has anything since the last meeting you can think of that you thought, I wish we did this, or I wish we could do it this way? How can we generate more CPO at events? And I ask these questions and we just spark conversation. How can we find more events? How can we be better organized? How can we do better follow-up? How can we do better training? Let's talk about how to grow as a team. How can we generate more CPO? Then move into thoughts of an MC, their perspective on things like, I think things that are really good, just to give you a couple of examples that an MC should cover is having the script memorized from their perspective. Like, why is it important to have the script memorized versus you as the coordinator always like, you got to memorize the script. You know, here you've got, Luke talking about memorizing the script, or I've got Jared, one of our up and coming top representatives talking about that. Be respectful of the booth is another thing. Leads must be followed up with is another thing. Find events, you get dibs on it. Just, whatever you want them to talk about. And then a quick review. This is where I'll cover things that are policies on our division team that aren't being followed up with. They're not getting done. Like maybe stats aren't being reported. So I'll talk about stats for 5 minutes and how important it is to get stats in. And then for the next month, everyone will get their stats in a lot better. But if I didn't talk about that, it would just continue being the way it is. So whatever policies, as a coordinator, that's kind of when you need to talk about those. Service call results report. So we can recognize service calls. We go into recognition after that. And we recognize any days over 1,000 at the booth. We just like rapid fire through all those. And milestones. And then goals. We don't do this on every meeting, so it's up to you, especially if discussions have went really long. But I think it's important to do it every other meeting, at least. So sometimes even if it's late, we'll just go into this. So by going around and getting everyone's goals, it forces people to be intentional about what they want to accomplish over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks. And they share that in front of everybody. And also, when you get that goal, you can get a team goal. And some people buy in more to a team goal and being associated with that number and knowing they have to do their best to get what the goal is for the team than for themselves. So it really generates CPO for everybody doing the goals. And sometimes you can also add in, if it's like a campaign, it's going to be a while between meetings. What are you going to reward yourself with if you hit that goal? And then everyone can hold each other accountable to buying that new mountain bike or whatever it is. Go into contests. Try and get a divisional contest from your division manager, whether it's just a night out or it's a cruise or whatever it is. If you hit that as a team, you get to win that. And then I go into some keys for the year as a coordinator, like just my thoughts on how to maximize whatever is happening or time of the year that is, what's going on. And then picking shifts. How many of you guys, actually, I don't know if you know this, but picking shifts really relieves a lot of stress from the coordinator and makes it fair for the reps. Here's some tips to go faster, since not everyone's doing it yet. Number one is if you're doing round robin, everyone picks 2 shifts per round. It's also great when it's like you're going away for a weekend and you can actually have Saturday and Sunday, and instead of just trying to pick one day and then you don't know if you're going to get the other day and you're driving 4 hours just to work an event for a day. Have the shift schedule in a Google Excel and on a big screen TV that everyone can see. Using Google Docs, yellow or light blue out events as they become unavailable. So only the black is visible, the events that are still not picked. Whoever is entering shifts, keep letting people know who's on deck, not just who's up. So like, all right, Zach's up, Matt, you're on deck. Zach, what do you want? And when I'm doing it, sometimes I'll even be like, all right, you're not ready yet? Go ahead, Matt, what do you want? And then like you do them both at the same time. If his doesn't conflict with his, then we're both good and we're on to the next person. It's just like just crushing through it. Talking and not picking He's not allowed, so you just go outside the room if you need to talk to avoid distractions. So if you're chit-chatting when it's not your turn, you need to leave, like to a different area. And then after we do the shift picking, field training sign up, we have requirements now for various members of the team based on their level. Everyone's required to field train. Even our top level representatives have to go at least once in the spring and once in the fall. And then miscellaneous items after shift picking and when the next meeting is. This is kind of where we check the events that we want to staff that were last minute, didn't have a chance to put into the schedule. We go through prospective events and get those staffed and see if we can get those booked. We do field training sign up. We look at the booth situation for events if there's anything in particular. And then usually that's actually calculated after the meeting, but we look at weekends where there might be issues. And then we wrap up. So let me wrap up for you. There's an example here. Wrap up this. This is called a difference of 1 degree. Did you ever notice what happens to water at 211 degrees Fahrenheit? Well, not much really. Although it gets hot and it may develop some little pinpoint bubbles, for the most part, it just lays there in the pot. But just add 1 more degree, an increase of heat of less than 1/2 of 1%, and that same water begins to boil. The steam generated by the boiling water can lift the lid of a tea kettle or drive a huge turbine engine. 1 degree of heat makes the difference. In life, often the margin is just as slender between success and failure, winning and losing, mediocrity and excellence. Peter Vidmar, the great American gymnast, told me that in 1984 in the Olympics, he missed winning a silver medal by 1/25/1000th of a point. A difference half as great as the difference between hot water and steam. In the 1988 Olympics, American swimmer Matt Biondi lost the 100-meter butterfly event by 1/100th of a second. 1/100th of a second. The loser of a 50-mile bicycle race was exactly 1 inch behind the winner. In those same Olympics, Mary Lou Retton won a gold medal by 5/1000ths of a point, and many of us saw her get a perfect 10 in the vault, a 10 she had to get in order to win. What does this teach us about our own lives? Simply that it is the last little bit of effort that will always make the difference between success and failure. The losers in this world never seem to realize how close they are to winning just before they give up. And the winners never forget that extra effort in the end that is often the slender margin of victory. When you're tempted to give up, to settle for less than your best, turn that extra burst of energy, that extra degree of fire that gives you the satisfaction of knowing, win or lose, you have done your very best. Joseph Klock. So those little things, increasing your average order more and more. The coordinator's making a little difference here and there and helping others. The little things in following your schedule. To what degree are you following your schedule that you set out as your plan for your success, that you know would be successful if you only did it? Go, turn on that extra steam until you feel that mile, that final degree that pushes yourself in excellence, starting to make all of the difference in all of those areas of your life, accumulating, and when you add all those little degrees up, your life is starting to boil. Feel the passion. Heat it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.